Trust and believe. World famous DJ Marge is in the building.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
How have you been, sir?
I'm really happy.
Yeah?
Yeah, I'm really happy. Like, really happy, man.
Mm-hmm.
That's I know that's a short answer, but it's the truth.
Nah, but that's a lot, though. A lot of people aren't happy.
Yeah.
So that's a beautiful thing. I ask all of my members, to get more insight on them outside of knowing them for their accomplishments and things of that nature. Who are they? So who's DJ Mars?
First of all, I'm a father of a 22-year-old, soon-to-be graduate. I feel like that's probably the biggest accomplishment. Did all the turntables, did all the parties, all the tours, but I'm a father of a college graduate. I love that. You know what I mean? Like, I would say that's my flag in the ground, my son right there.
I can dig it.
Yeah, man.
Do you love what you do, Mars?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Love it's a four-letter word, but it's extremely small in comparison to how I feel about what I do for a living. I was born the same year hip-hop was born, 1973. So if that is any indication as to who I was going to be, my mother and father, there's no way they would have known it at that time, but being born in 73 and grew up with hip-hop, hip-hop is how I make every dollar that I make. That's an exciting place to be, and we're celebrating hip-hop.
Yep.
It's a super cool thing to be adjacent to.
So what does hip-hop mean to you, sir?
Without using the word everyone uses today, it's a culture, it's a way of life. It's the way that I move, it's how I move. Hip-hop is what had me performing in 64 different countries. You know what I mean? It's all of my experiences based on my relationship with hip-hop. It's taught me to pay attention to cultures around the globe. It's my lifeblood, so to speak. I
can dig it. And being that you mentioned culture, as we know, hip-hop turns 50 this year.
Yep.
What does that mean to the culture for hip-hop?
It means that there's staying power within the genre, obviously. You can't discount it anymore. It says that globally we are accepted, we are appreciated, replicated. It says a whole lot. You can no longer say that it's a fact. That's an old conversation. It says for us to be here 50 years later, it says that the world has learned from us, and we have learned from the world. Part of my travels, I get to see what kids in other cultures are involved in, and I get to see how they learn from us. When I travel, I learn from them. So it's a learning experience. It's a learning tool to me.
What's your favorite era of hip-hop?
My favorite era of hip-hop, I would have to say, is probably what they consider the golden era.
Yes, sir.
Everybody's touch point when it comes to music is when they were in junior high school. No different. Junior high school, Ultramagnetic, LL Cool J, Run DMC, Public Enemy, the Beastie Boys, Fat Boys, Houdini. That's probably my favorite era. Those are my golden years when mom will let you go out to see a concert with your friends and you could stay out to 10 at a concert only.
Right.
I would say that would be the era that made me fall in love with hip hop.
I can dig it. Do you miss spinning vinyl?
No.
Really?
I don't. So the reason why I don't miss spinning vinyl is because you have to move on. You have to grow. And technology has grown and technology has moved on. There was times I was traveling the globe. I remember being stuck in Heathrow and they were charging me $500 to bring my records back into the United States. I don't miss that era at all. I don't. I don't miss that era at all.
Let's talk about you being the official DJ for Usher's My Way, the Vegas residency. How major is that, bro?
It's extremely major.
Yep.
It's extremely major. Working with Usher is like working with whoever the top dog is in whatever field. Let's say you're working for Lamborghini, you're working for Maybach, you're working for the Chicago Bulls, and it's really like that. Like, this kid is the top. You know what I mean? Like, he's literally the top. When I first sat down with him to go over what my job was going to be, one of the first things he said is, I want nothing but stars on stage with me. Like this guy's the top. You know what I mean? Like it's 2023. There's no one above him. So for him to handpick his associates on stage is incredible. And then for him to say, Mark, I know what you do. I've seen what you do. I actually started touring with him on his first album. So our relationship goes back to his very first album. For him to come back and say, look, bro, I need you for this. This is a statement piece for me. I'm grabbing you, come on. Like, that's a huge compliment. Huge compliment. Yeah, again, it's Super Bowl level activity out there.
What makes a great DJ, Mars?
A great DJ is one who can read the room.
Yep.
Right? So we all have our personal musical preferences, but my personal musical preferences don't mean anything if I'm not reading the room. What I like to do is translate my personal musical preferences and put that energy into the crowd, but I can only do that after I've read the room. So let's say it's a party and it's early on. What I do is I like to find those songs and those people that think like me. So I find them early to identify, okay, Shorty over there at the bar, let me throw on this A. Marie record. And if I see that she gets it, that says to me later on, I can talk to her musically, right? So it's simply just reading the room. Before you're cutting, scratching, before you're talking, if you can't read the room and translate what the room wants to feel, then you're no good. I don't care how much you cut and scratch and all of that. That means nothing if you can't read the room. And reading the room is relating to the people in there. I like to focus on the ladies because ladies drive the party.
What would be the state of hip hop culture if there was no ATL music scene, rap scene?
If there was no Atlanta rap scene, hip hop probably, I don't want to use the word died, hip hop would have slowed down between 20 and 25 years ago. So part of what changed hip hop was the cost of sampling, right? So sampling got super expensive. New York lost its sound, and if Atlanta didn't take over, it would have fizzled out, right? So New York's signature sound is the James Brown sample. James Brown's for the South. So you can technically say Atlanta, the Southern hip hop scene, was a part of the New York scene even before that 25 years, because James Brown is the godfather of the sound of New York-based hip hop. So if when sampling got expensive and the big artists wasn't sampling, New York sound kind of disappeared. Had Atlanta not taken over, it kind of would have fizzled and died at that point, but Atlanta took over. New York, LA had its run, Atlanta had 2.5 decades. Honestly, you almost can't remember when Atlanta wasn't what it is. When I say is because it's still dominant today. It's the reason why a kid from Atlanta, Usher, can rule a residency in Las Vegas. And I know you ask about hip hop, but that's R&B, but it's it's relative to Atlanta. So imagine the last big New York run was Jay-Z and 50 Cent. So imagine if after that hip hop just fizzled out. It would have if Atlanta didn't go on a 20.5-year Super Bowl run.
You mentioned New York losing its sound. How did that happen?
It happened because sampling got so expensive.
Okay, got it.
The New York sound is based in James Brown. That's the reality of it, right? So late 70s, 80s, that's what is the backbone, or was the backbone of the New York hip hop. It was samples.
Yes, sir.
James Brown being one of the most sampled artists of all time, period. That's what it was. Like from an Eric B. and Rakim record, from a Run DMC record, from a BDP record, it was those James Brown samples. So that's what New York sound is. It's dope, it's great. Like, trust me, I love it. But that's what New York sound is and was. It's the sample. Like you could almost hear a record with a sample in it, and you say that's some New York-ish. You know, that's the connotation you give to a New York rapper, is the usage of a sample and the producers who put those records together.
Question. Old ATL, new ATL. If you got to choose.
I would choose old ATL, right? Simply because that's where I made my bones. So
Correct.
my bones in Atlanta were made on the campus of Clark Atlanta University. And the parties that popped off from campus went from the campus to the warehouse, or to campus to Phoenix, also Club 559. I got to throw that in there. Those are just two of the clubs that kind of transformed the way we party in Atlanta today. So for me, in relation to my history comes from, air quote, old Atlanta. It's not old meaning outdated, but chronologically, I have to give it to that. It's literally the background. If you look at all the execs who are popping today, they came from old Atlanta. Obviously, there's some new ones. You got Coach K. You got Shock Zoo. In terms of club ownership and management, obviously, you got AG. You got Kenny Burns. And I mentioned those two back to back because those two guys historically started out together throwing college parties. And the blueprint that AG put together with the college parties turned into the blueprint that he created for the balling parties. So it's what manifested in the 90s. So you got the 90s, you got the 2000s, you got the 2010s, now you got the 2023s. That's 3 decades of blueprint that came from the air quote old Atlanta.
Did you bring a book, Mars? Because I was looking at an Ebro interview you did a while ago about the mixtapes, bro. I need that book.
I will get you a signed copy of the book, The Art Behind the Tape. You will get one.
Man, I can't wait, bro.
Thank you.
Because I was watching the interview and they were going through the book, and I'm like, damn, that's great knowledge. You know, being that I started as a DJ, and just that means a lot. That's a part of culture. That book, you know. So I'm gonna get my sign.
Yeah, you're gonna get your signed copy of the book. The Art Behind the Tape is the first book written on the history of mixtape culture, and I promise you, you'll get one.
Good deal. What legacy you want to leave, Mars?
Man, I just, at the end of the day, I want people to say that this guy took Atlanta across the globe. I represented Atlanta globally on a DJ level. Like, took the culture to Japan, took the culture to Kazakhstan, took the culture to Egypt, took the culture to Ireland, and represented Atlanta to the fullest. Like, Atlanta, I would say before I stood up, there wasn't a large DJ voice globally that represented Atlanta. Like, now I could say 64 countries in, I let people know that Atlanta has great club DJs that can dominate the space, right? You couldn't say that at a time before, but now at the end of it, it's not the end, but now towards, and people can say, man, this guy really represented. When you come to Vegas and see Usher, he really put Atlanta on his back and made everybody, every night sellout crowd really feel like they are a part of what the A is about. That's part of what I want people to know about me. Like, man, this guy really took the A and pushed the DJ culture forward globally. You know, definitely here in Atlanta, definitely Vegas, but globally.
Yeah, man, this is the Hennessy, honey, coconut water, and lemon.
Very good.
Yeah, man, this is for the culture.
Thank you.
Thank you for everything you've done.
Thank you.
Being a foundation for Atlanta, DJs, the scene, being president of the Super Friends.
Yep.
You know y'all ain't let me in back in there, right?
Don't hold it against me. Don't hold it against me.
I will not. Trust and believe. But thank you for everything, bro. Keep going.
Thanks, man.
You know what I mean? Keep representing the culture, showing DJs how to really DJ.
Yeah.
And just keep being you.
Thank you, bro.
Cheers to your spirit, man. And the Hip Hop 50.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, man. Yeah, DJ Mars, everybody.
I know. This is good, yeah.
You are a member, sir. That is really good. Damn.